minutes to get going. Where are people joining us from, Mackenzie? Do we see yet?
I see someone from Kyle, Texas.
Kyle, see, we couldn't have had people from Kyle when we were all in person. Welcome from Kyle. Any outside of Texas yet? Although we know we're partial to our Texas. Houston, hey Houston, Austin.
Vancouver, Canada.
Sweet.
Denver, Colorado, Fairfax, Virginia, Romania. We have a
Romania.
Wow.
What is the time change?
It's Vancouver Island, not Vancouver. One's a city, the other's the island. It's much more beautiful over here.
Good to know. Boy, Romania, what's that time change? It's evening. Oh. Mackenzie, you might want to see where Gloria is. Okay. All right, Rhonda raised a hand. Oh, look, people are already Zoom prepared, it seems like. It's 8 p.m. So I suppose it would be middle of the night if you take a class, although we do have some noontime classes. There we go. Spanish second language, Brooke, I love it. Congratulations. Thank you. I got to compliment our background music. Welcome, Kevin. Getting started in just a couple minutes here. We'll give a few others time to get on. Some of you are raising a hand. Feel free to start putting any questions in the chat. We'll be getting some as we go. Oh, we have a guest from India. Laura Stitch, I see you there. Bonjour. League City, Texas. Where is that?
I have family from League City.
You do?
I do.
No. Is that around Houston?
It's by Galveston. It's around Galveston, kind of, on the way.
New York City. Welcome from New York. Welcome, everybody. All right. One more minute and we'll get going. I want to keep that music on throughout. Does everybody like our new backgrounds? Do we wear these well? They're brand new. A little bright, but you can't miss us, right? I like to stand out.
Hey, Longhorn orange.
I know. Well, we were trying for a little brighter, but it seems we can't escape the Longhorn orange. Hey, Laura. All right. Should we get going? 5 after?
Let's get going.
Okay. All right. Well, welcome everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. You know, we'd like to keep that music on, keep a little salsa music going. We're going to get going. My name is Elizabeth Mack. I am the founder and executive director of Freestyle Language Center. And first, I just want to thank everybody for being here today. And if you are in your gallery view, I don't know, for some of those of you who have experience with Zoom, if you hit gallery view, you can see us all at once. I can introduce you a little more to our team. You'll see obvious ones with our new fancy backgrounds. Team, raise your digital hand and unmute to say hola, bonjour real quick. Unmute yourselves. We love to have the sense of community. Say hola, bonjour.
Hola.
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 Because there's so many from our team here today, we're not going to individually introduce everybody, but you'll be able to meet our teachers when you do our breakout rooms. But we do have various other marketing and operations. Raise your hand, the rest of our team here to ensure your learning success and our journey today. So yes, thank you everybody for joining us. It's really amazing that you would take time out of your days. You know, whether you are working at home with children or working at home and taking care of adults, or just working at home and trying to take care of yourself, or taking care of yourself and not working at home, whatever the COVID reality it is, time is very precious, more precious than ever. So thank you so much for joining us today, because with what's going on in the world, that you would take time to inquire about and learn more about our language learning model is really, really special to us. So c'est magnifique, huh? It's really special. So for the many reasons that there are for language learning, and we're all a little bit biased, right? We each are extremely attached to this idea. There are so many valid, varied reasons for learning. Some are doing it for career, some are doing it for new family or for travel once we are up in travel. But we want to share with you right now, the first thing we're going to share in the chat is because we don't have a lot of time to go through all of the details and the reasons, but we'd like to learn more about your goals. We have a blog post that we did when we came up against COVID like the rest of the world back in March and April, about how learning a language can help you level up during COVID. And even if your intention is not to increase your career chances or your salaries, guess what? It really can. And certainly there's the brain workout. So for the many reasons you're here, thank you. And we can't wait to learn more about that. And so, yeah, so one announcement before we get going, speaking of the very important cross-cultural reason that we have for wanting to learn languages, right? For increased cross-cultural understanding, we have an announcement to make today that 5% of our registrations and sales from today through our registration deadline, which is Friday, September 4th, we're all marking in our calendars, that we are going to be donating 5% to E4 Youth, which is an Austin nonprofit now with national reach, which serves creative youth of color in majority minority schools in incredibly innovative ways, empowering them with skills and job opportunities. So thank you in advance for helping us to support them, because 5% of our sales and registrations are going to go towards them. So this is an exciting thing. It's the first time we've done this sort of community outreach. We always try to do something. So I think that's our intro there. Mackenzie, if you're going to take us through how we're going to spend the rest of our time.
Yes, so my name is Mackenzie. I'm on the marketing team here at Freestyle, and I'm going to take you through a quick overview of our agenda here today. So you will hear first again from Elizabeth to go further into our mission and to give a broad overview of our model. We'll then give you some details on our 12-week fall session, which starts September 9th. And we'll talk about which course levels we're offering, which authentic materials are used in each class, our fall session online events, and what it's actually like inside of our virtual classroom. After that, we're going to go use the Zoom breakout sessions so you can meet our team, get a view and a feel of the inside of our virtual classroom, and of course, ask any questions about the curriculum and levels. Finally, after the breakout rooms, we will announce the winner of our fall session course giveaway today and answer any questions that may come to mind throughout our open house. And we'll send you all off with a code to use towards your fall session registration via email. As a bonus, for those of you joining us today, we will also be giving away 3 25% off discounts, and we'll be doing that with some trivia questions toward the end of our open house. Before we get into all of that, just going to go quickly over some Zoom tools that we'll be using in our open house and tools that we use in our virtual classrooms as well. And first, just a note that Freestyle language is all about that face-to-face interaction, communication, and community. So I'm going to ask those of you who have not already done so to turn on your camera. And if you weren't planning on seeing a large group of people, that's okay. Just know that your bad hair days are welcome here. And if you can turn on your camera, then look at your Zoom toolbar at the bottom of the window. You'll see in the bottom left-hand corner a button that says Start Video right next to the mute button, and then just click that and wave hello. The next is our chat feature, which some of you were using right when you entered this Zoom meeting. Throughout this open house, please feel free to send your questions to our chat so we can answer them in the Q&A portion happening at the very end of today. You'll see the chat button again at the bottom of your Zoom window in the toolbar. And next thing we want to cover is reaction. So these are fun ways of showing support for your fellow learners in class. And I want to teach you all how to digitally applaud, and we'll practice together now so that when we do announce the winner of the giveaway, we'll all get to clap as we normally would if we were in person. If your video is on and your Zoom is updated, you'll see a button at the bottom of your Zoom window in the toolbar that says reactions. Go ahead and click that button and then select either the clap or thumbs up. I'm going for the clap. Awesome. All right, yeah, let's all try it. Cool. Awesome. Again, we'll use this when we announce our fall session giveaway winner. And the last tool that we are going to use is going to be our polling feature. These are really fun, and we're going to be running several throughout our open house, starting with our very first one right now. So I'll go ahead and launch this poll. All right, you should all see a question on your screens right now. And the question is, have you ever taken an online class which utilizes live face-to-face virtual classrooms? You can select yes or no. And if you have taken an online class before, it might have been where you're watching a recorded lecture or even tuning into a live webinar. But what's different about our courses is that when you log on for class, you're logging on to learn in real time and to practice speaking and having conversations within that class. All right. We're at about 78%, gonna let a few more answers trickle in and then I'll end it. 80%, let's go ahead and share the results. All right, so it actually looks like most of you have not taken a live online face-to-face class before, which is great because throughout this open house, we can show you exactly how dynamic that online learning can be. Finally, the next thing we're gonna talk about is our breakout rooms. We won't be using these now, but just wanna give you a heads up that we will be using these later so you can meet our teachers. And we'll be sorting you into breakout rooms based on the level and the language that you submitted when you RSVP'd for today. And if your name on Zoom does not match the one on the RSVP, Abel here will send you a private message just to get that info. All right, so that's what we have going on for today. I'm now going to pass it back over to Elizabeth to introduce our mission and our model.
Okay, thank you, Mackenzie. Our marketing team right there. All right. Yes, so there we go. Connecting people through language. This is our mission, and there's a lot that we have to say about it and a lot we believe in. But essentially, so we, the team, created all together. Created maybe not this exact team you're seeing today, but for a lot of us have been here since the beginning 8 years ago. But like many ventures, I created Freestyle at the intersection of what I wanted for myself that I wasn't seeing in the market for culture and intercultural understanding and language exploration. And quite frankly, I'm not gonna lie, the big thing that really expedited it when I was a university professor is that I hated grading papers. And so I honestly, there was, yes, what I wanted for myself. And then there was, I just have to be honest about that. I couldn't grasp the waste of time when we wanted to be speaking and engaging in a language. I just hated that. So I'm not gonna lie about that. I'm always pretty transparent. But so it's what I wanted for myself. And then of course, it's what I wanted for other learners. And I've always loved a very engaged learning community of being around lifelong learners. But really, I wanted people to experience what I had experienced years ago when I had the great opportunity to study in France, the deep connection to my host family and to the people there. But it almost didn't happen. That connection almost didn't happen because my French was so bad after 4 years of high school French in Houston, Texas. I don't even know, 2.5 or 3 years of college. And I thought I spoke French because I got good grades. Okay, well, decent grades, not good grades. We're not going to overstate it. But I got to France and it was so bad that I thought maybe I was in a different country. I literally thought maybe it was Italy, but it wasn't. It was the south of France and I couldn't speak. Well, I had known at that time, I couldn't say a word, actually, barely a word, but not a sentence after 7.5 years. And so, yeah, clearly I'm no genius, but I'm not an idiot either. And so note to self, at that time, I thought something's not working here, right? This shouldn't have been this disastrous. So I knew that years and years ago, and then I knew the power of the connection to people. And I want other people to experience what I experienced with that host family who still can't get rid of me. I'm still very close to them. And so the reason it's Nelson Mandela and I didn't know of him at the time, but his his journey with language learning just spoke to us so much. And for those of you who don't know, Nelson Mandela learned Afrikaans, the language of the oppressor, during the many, many years that he was imprisoned. And it was through learning that language that he was able to negotiate the end of apartheid. And so while many of us here probably don't have geopolitical reasons, although maybe we should, I will withhold comment there, wouldn't it be great if we were learning each other's languages for all of those reasons? And so it's very, very deeply ingrained with us. We're very moved by it. Voila, 8 years later, here we are with a successful language learning model. And while we weren't sure at first, we were sure what doesn't work. And now we can assure you that we have learners who go from complete beginner to advanced speakers at various timing, depending on the learner. But so the time does depend on you, but it's possible and people do it all the time. So we're very proud. And we have a lot of fun in language learning. And we're going to tell you more about that as we go. The most important reason is the next slide. We will show you the most important reason we are successful is here on your screen, our team Freestyle. And there's a picture of us when we were in person. We are definitely missing that. We're not going to lie. On the other hand, look, we're open and able to meet the world now. So that's been really exciting. But the teachers are the core of our team. And here's the thing. We have a very intentional mix of native and non-native speakers. And so many people believe that it's just important to have a native speaker. But unless that native speaker is a trained teacher, it's just a meetup. And we put so much intention on our pedagogy, our actual learning how to teach the language, that really sets us apart. So we have an intentional mix of native and non-native speakers with very different cultural backgrounds who are all very, very highly pedagogically trained. And so not only do we have our own teacher training program that people go through, teachers go through before teaching with us, but we continue training monthly. And probably a little more than some of our teachers would like sometimes, but we put intention on it because things change. We keep up with science, we keep up with theories, we practice with each other, we're working on it all the time. And I think the other thing that really unites us and makes the team special, I think we all know, I can speak on behalf of our teachers, is that we're all deeply passionate about what we do in language and culture. And it really shows even in our digital classrooms. So that's our team, and I will look forward to you meeting more of them in the breakout rooms. The other thing would be on our next slide here, authentic materials. When we created our curriculum years ago, knowing that textbooks just are not enough. Textbooks are generally written by whatever the native English, so in the United States, written by English speakers about the target language and about that culture. So those are semi-authentic or not even at all authentic materials. But authentic materials, meaning the films and music and literature that are made by the people of your target language, the language you want to learn, for those in that target language. That means you are learning the language, how it's spoken, you're learning, you're learning to let the language and the culture wash over you, which can be tricky sometimes. Learning how to listen is tricky. But you're getting the accents, you're getting expressions, you're getting things in context that you wouldn't otherwise. And it's just fun. But there is a learning skill that's involved in this. So it can be overwhelming. And for example, one of those skills that we learn is that you can learn words and phrases from context, just from listening. You don't have to be given this word means this and this word means this. Although we do that a large part of the time, it's possible to learn in these other ways. So we're building that listening skill so that we can speak better at the same time through these very rich materials. And so it is learning through culture, which we say is really the fifth skill, right? So we've got reading, writing, listening, speaking, all of those things. We focus on speaking, but culture. And so we lean into that culture constantly. Okay, and I think this, speaking of authentic materials, brings us to our next poll.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you'll all see another poll question on your screens. It's how many of you watch movies and TV shows in other languages? And while y'all answer that, just a fun announcement regarding the authentic materials for our Spanish law courses. All of the Spanish students will be using the new hit Netflix telenovela La Casa de las Flores throughout their classes. And so something I want to say is learning through authentic materials is more than just fun. It's also a great way to connect with other native speakers. So we select these authentic materials because they're popular among other native speakers. And it's just another avenue for sparking that conversation and being able to connect on a deeper level. All right, we're at 90%. So I'm going to go ahead and end this poll and share the results with y'all. Right. So it looks like for the most part, most people here do appreciate learning through media and through culture. That's awesome. And we totally recommend, incorporating these things into your everyday music, Spotify playlists, TV shows, news, podcasts, just really making an effort to hear the language as it's spoken. All right. And I think we're ready for the next slide, Gab. A little bit about our scheduling. So many of you may have heard the term, if you don't use it, you lose it, in reference to language learning, and that is absolutely true. So we do use a frequent model where we meet 3 times per week in our virtual classroom. We meet twice a week for your core weekday class, and in this class, your teachers will guide you through our set curriculum, which covers everyday themes such as your friends and family, the food and home, shopping and markets, physical characteristics, and such. And so we are more than a meetup. When you log on, you are receiving guided language instruction led by our professionally trained Team FLC. We supplement those 2 classes with our Saturday cafes, which take place every Saturday. And these are a really fun but critical part of our model. They offer 3 essential elements: a culturally rich activity intentionally designed to engage with more speaking, a student-driven portion so you can ask questions about topics that you're interested in, and then of course the relevant everyday conversation practice. These cafes are just another chance to practice speaking what you've covered in classes for the week. Because as we've said, spontaneous language production is key to successful language learning. There are huge benefits when you have opportunities to practice speaking on the spot in real time about themes that are relevant to you. These cafes are included in the cost of your core registration and meet every Saturday morning, 11 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. And your core weekday classes will meet on Mondays and Wednesdays. The exact class time will depend on your language and level, but we do have new afternoon class times for beginner courses, which do tend to fill up the fastest, especially after open house. We're going to share the link in the chat to all of our course times, our session schedule, as well as our online placement quizzes, so you can find out really easily which level might be best for you. All right, ready for the next slide? Events. Yeah, so on top of meeting 3 times per week, we also meet for online events so that, again, you just have as many opportunities as possible to, 1, not only engage with the culture and the language, but 2, to maximize your speaking time. Speaking out loud with other people is how you learn most effectively. This fall, we're excited to be hosting Netflix watch parties, which are a student favorite, a weekly online scavenger hunt with a prize at the end, virtual happy hours, and also live music concert streams, where we'll have musicians join us on Zoom and play music from a variety of regions that speak your target language. And this actually brings us to our next poll. Go ahead and share it. You'll see it on your screens. Which fall session online event are you most excited for? Again, it's the Netflix watch parties, which are great for viewing foreign films and also for discussing them afterwards. The online scavenger hunt, where you'll be engaging with a variety of prompts throughout the session. Virtual happy hours with our favorite hashtag, Wine the Great Fluency Builder, and live music concert streams. All right, got 65% voting. If we can get some more votes in, 75, 77, yes. All right, I'll go ahead, get your last minute answers in. I'll go ahead and end this poll and share the results. So it looks like the Netflix watch parties. It's pretty close between the virtual happy hours, Wine the Great Fluency Builder, seeing someone in the chat saying all of the above. And yes, we are super excited about these events. You'll have to join us this fall to experience them. And with that, I will hand it over back to Elizabeth to talk more specifically about our online success.
Yes. We love our events, and those events are a huge part of our success too, because it's students practicing language in relevant context, and it goes towards those many hours needed to get to fluency and proficiency and fluency. But here's the thing. So here we are 100% online. It turns out we were getting ready for COVID before we knew that we were, unintentionally, a number of years ago. So when March hit and April hit and it forced our hand online, thank goodness we had been looking into this already. And the important thing that we learned is that a hybrid model includes several important elements, but the two most important elements are the face-to-face virtual classrooms that we have. And so when we were looking into this initially, even 2 and 3 years ago, we leaned in on the most important thing for Freestyle, which is our sense of community. And so we thought, how do we recreate that online? But we have successfully done that, and we continue to lean into that. Community is super, super important about what we do. No matter how large it gets, we believe that we can do this. So community and what tools are available to us. So through our virtual classroom, allowing us to have this face-to-face in the Zoom Pro. Some of you may have known of that. It's very, very rich. We've got the whiteboard, we've got breakout chat rooms, we've got all of these dynamics that many students are liking more than when we were in person. So they feel the community, and yet we're able to practice just as much online face-to-face. And that's a huge part of the first part. The second part, moving on to the next slide, of our hybrid model. So we've got the live face-to-face, and then on the next slide, it is, there we go, our online curriculum platform. This is important because learners really need to be able to bridge the gap, we call it, between the time that you have to, we say, sit your butt in the seat and come to class and spend that time, to the time needed to reach proficiency, which is anywhere from 500 to 750 hours. There's a little news flash for everybody. I'm not sure if that's in one of our polls today, but that's a lot. So this online platform has all of your class materials and much, much more. But here's a third part of that element that makes it all work, and it's that we have a flipped model to this. So with our virtual face-to-face and this online curriculum platform, you're able to have these prep lesson videos that you'll be experiencing soon, I think either in the chat here or when you go into your breakout. I think before your breakout room, you should see a video here. And these prep lesson videos that our teachers and our team work so hard on are an important part of the flipped model. And what that means is that teachers, before you come to class, guide you through the most critical, essential elements coming up for the week. They guide you into understanding what that is. And so that flipped model puts you, the learner, at the center of learning, instead of the old school classroom where you're sitting there being spoken to and lectured at with charts on the board or whatever. So that flipped model is really important. So you will get weekly this pre-lesson video that guides you into understanding, so that during your class time, during your face-to-face, you're able to practice this together. And so that's our hybrid model. Hybrid model can mean different things to different people. Sometimes at the university, it's half online, half in person. It's just different, but this is ours, and we're seeing great success in it. And yeah, we hope you'll join us and send us any questions along the way.
Mm-hmm. All right. Speaking of joining us, this brings us to our next poll. If you win the fall session course giveaway, which language do you plan on taking? And the breakout rooms are coming right up. After that, we will also be giving away a 25% discount to one person from each language group, depending on who can answer our trivia questions the fastest. All right, we're at about 73%. Get any last minute votes in. I'll go ahead and close it now. Share the results with y'all. No surprise, in Texas, it looks like most of our language learners here are interested in taking Spanish, and you will all get a chance right now actually to meet with your level and languages teachers and talk about, what questions you may have. So here's how that will work in the breakout rooms. We are going to send you to a room for 15 minutes to chat with our teachers. The breakout rooms will automatically end in those 15 minutes, but you have the option at any point to return to the main session. To do that, just click the button that says return to main session in your toolbar. And if you accidentally leave the meeting and leave the virtual open house, you can rejoin again by clicking the link that got you here in the first place. All right. So Abel, are we set for breakout rooms, or do we still need languages and levels for some people?
Yes, we need a language for Scott, and someone just joined called Prayer Desk.
Yeah,
so we need to know what their level is.
All right, Scott, you can either unmute yourself and share your language of interest and relative level, beginner or intermediate advanced, and then we'll be able to create the breakout rooms.
Where are we sharing the level?
You can just tell us and Abel will be able to put you in. Yeah. When you RSVP'd, you shared your level.
Yeah.
You selected either beginner,
okay.
relative beginner. Got it.
Scott is.
All right. Well, if he comes back, let's go ahead and open them, send them out to the teachers, Abel, and then we can always move him in there once he's ready to join.
Ciao.
All right. See you in 15 minutes. A plus.
Go. A plus.
Ciao.
There you go.
Ciao.
That's awesome.
There they go.
Oh, Laura. I
I think, yeah.
think she's going.
Well,
She's one of our teacher trainees who sometimes has a hard time joining, but I think it's an internet thing. She should be
Awesome.
going.
Well,
Great.
all right. If you are just now joining us, our open house attendees are inside of our breakout rooms with their teachers, and we are going to be staying here in the main session for those of you watching to answer some frequently asked questions. Gab, what questions do we have that we'll be talking about?
Right.
Yeah, so the first question is for Elizabeth. How
Yes.
long does it take to become fluent?
Back to that. Okay. We often say at Freestyle, you know, what are you going to put into it? So we have the model and we hear it all the time. When will I be speaking? And we say, what are you going to put into it? So based on ACTFL, the American Council of Teaching and Foreign Languages, to reach proficiency is anywhere from, as I think I've already mentioned, between 500 and 750 hours. So that depends on how much input that learner is getting, what they're doing extra and outside of the class. Are they engaging in our events? Are they using the online platform? Are they doing other things, whether it's our, the phrase of the day accounts we have on Instagram or other opportunities, more films. So it's a lot of hours for some people. That can be 2 years. For other people, it can be 3 and 4. The other thing that we think is really fun and happens a lot in our community is that learners who are on their third language can learn it much faster. And so we like to say, yeah, you get your third language for 50% off mental effort. I don't know. I think a lot of our learners can agree with that. Yeah, so it's definitely possible. It's definitely a myth, though. So many learners think that if they're already adults or later in life or whatever it is, that they can't do it. And that's absolutely not true. And our entire language learning community, our teachers certainly who are multilingual, we've all come by it, our second language. And it's not easy, but it's very, very doable. And it can be fun. And so
Yes.
it can be easy. Yes.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Our next frequently asked question, Mackenzie, you can take this one. Why don't you focus on a specific accent in your classes?
That's a really good question, and we do get it a lot, which accent do you specialize in for Spanish, French, or Italian? And the answer is, well, we don't really, focus on a specific accent because there is research that shows that the exposure to a variety of accents actually benefits your language learning. So here, our mission is to provide a global education, so one that you can take with you wherever you go. And our learners don't learn a specific accent because the chances of them encountering native speakers with other kinds of accents is really high. And we want to make sure that your language skills carry through no matter the situation or the accent that is being used.
Great, that makes a lot of sense. Thank you. And the next question is, what if I need to miss several classes?
Yes, I actually saw someone ask that in the chat, and this is a great question and a really common one for adult learners who have a variety of schedule conflicts. So we host each class's entire curriculum on Teachable, which is our online curriculum platform. And this includes the weekly handouts with answer keys, supplemental grammar exercises, audio files, flashcards, quizzes, recap videos. You have all of these materials available to you should you have to miss up to several weeks of class. We do have students frequently miss multiple classes and they're still able to make amazing speaking progress. So yes, fear not. We do not require 100% perfect attendance, but we do have the structure and materials in place to ensure that you can keep up with your classmates even if you have to miss.
Right.
Awesome. And one more question for you, Mackenzie. How much do freestyle classes cost?
That is a good question. It depends on the session, but essentially all of our classes come down to less than $15 an hour language learning. So just to put that into a little bit of context for you, that is less expensive than a drop-in yoga class, less expensive than an hour-long canoe rental on Lady Bird Lake for our Austin viewers, and less expensive than an Alamo Drafthouse ticket with popcorn. And here is where I like to remind people that our model is proven to take learners from complete beginner to proficient and beyond. For a professional and personal life-changing skill, we do consider that to be the best investment in self. And if you RSVP today, it will actually come down to less than $11 an hour language learning if you register with our deal. So,
Absolutely.
Awesome. And now a question for Elizabeth. What is your favorite tip for language learners?
Gosh, my favorite. How long do I have for this? I will. So I have to pick one. If I were to pick one, it's definitely to work on pronunciation. And the reason that is it's not just to sound better. It's important to be understood, of course, in a communicative model, which we have. But the new science that's out that we're continually following really proves that it can no longer be this accessory to language learning. Like, oh, I'm going to learn the structures and grammar and vocabulary and tack on some nice pronunciation at the end or with a few words. That the new science is showing that by focusing on pronunciation first in the beginner for adults, that you can work with, particularly with adults, it can go to break down that oral roadblock, that the way that adults hear things. So it opens up that oral roadblock, and it actually enhances the way that we can learn language. There's a cognitive process that goes on. So working with pronunciation is so important. So we've developed our pronunciation workshops to that end. But because, again, there's so much to do in our 75-minute classes twice a week and in our 90-minute Saturday cafe, we don't all work every day on them. So we have these asynchronous pronunciation workshops that learners can practice with in their own time. But we will still always put new intention on that. In fact, this session, we're starting something new with pronunciation, which I'm happy to go into, but we might be out of time. So tell me if I get to talk about that more, because I can talk about it more. How's our timing?
We're good on time. Yeah, I think you could go into it a little.
Oh, good. Can we? Okay, good. Well, and I think the last thing I would say about pronunciation is that what we're doing with Freestyle now to keep putting intention on it, now that we know, because we're always keeping up with science, how important it is for adult learners to actually learn the language by focusing on pronunciation, that this fall we're starting we're calling it our pronunciation portfolios, so that learners to not only practice a little bit with us in class, but we have all these other things to do in class too, that we give them comparison audio tracks by which they can make their own recording at the beginning of the session and at the end of the session to compare themselves to, so that as we work little by little on our pronunciation, they will be able to actually hear their progress in the language. And so, yes, while we're learning on using language with authentic materials and relevant everyday language, this pronunciation is super important. So the more important we find out elements are, the more intention we put on it in our community. And now I might stop talking about that, but I don't know if I can. What else do we have?
Well, our next question, you touched on this a little bit earlier, but can adults really learn a foreign language successfully?
Oh my gosh, yes. So huge myth out there that adults can't do it. So many people think, oh, that ship has passed, or I was bad at it in school. So several things. First of all, our system, as I was talking about earlier, as I was a real part of, sets us up very frequently for failure. Our middle school and high school languages, college languages with a focus on exams and credit, and the stress that it imposes without the language and culture, that whole system has set us up to not succeed. And what happens is adults think that they're not good at it, but that's not true. The human brain is meant for language. This is what we're meant to do, is to speak. And so if I can do it, anybody can do it. And yes, you do get that third language for 50% off mental effort. But the other thing is, again, by this focusing on pronunciation, there are ways to cognitively improve the process. And so pronunciation helps that. It breaks down that oral roadblock. And no, we won't have perfect pronunciation as adults. And that is a benefit of learning it. I think the science shows to up till about 13. And afterwards the learning, yeah, we have an accent, but so what? It's beautiful. You're still able to connect in that language. And yeah, I have not just a little bit, but a significant American accent when I speak French, but on s'en fiche, huh? This is what it is. And I didn't swear. I'm so proud of myself. So yes, the answer is a big resounding yes, 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 yes.
I do. Yeah, I also kind of want to jump in and just say, I started taking French for the first time last summer session, very exciting. And I was, kind of worried about being able to learn something new, having been out of a traditional classroom setting for a while. And I have found that to not be the case at all. I found that it's really fun to learn new things and that the change in routine has been really, really appreciated. I find myself saying random words and phrases in French throughout the day just because I feel my brain starting to recognize those things. And it's a great feeling being able to reciprocate it. And to note on that, our students do range in age from young professionals and recent college graduates to retirees who are also steadily improving their conversation skills and their pronunciation skills. You would be impressed if you joined us at a cafe and you saw how excellent everyone was doing.
Great, thank you so much. Our last frequently asked question is, why do you use authentic materials as opposed to textbooks?
Oh, right. Okay. So I'm glad somebody's asking about this a little bit more. It's true we touched on it a little bit, but authentic materials provide us so much. So from the very basic level, it's learning that language through that culture, right? The authentic materials, again, are those created by the speakers of your target language for the speakers of your target language. And so it is the first window into their culture, but it's what they're talking about. So if you want to be in the know with the learners or for when you're traveling and you bring up the most popular film or TV show that they're talking about, I mean, they're amazed. That is not something that most Americans can do. And so we like to keep up with what is going on in those cultures and what we can talk about. So the cultural thing is just huge. The other is the ability to learn new skills through it. So again, I touched on this maybe briefly earlier, but the listening comprehension skill is way, way underrated when approached by other language models. And it needs to be scaffolded and worked in a way that we do with teachers. We work on this consistently because it is overwhelming. Everybody knows it's overwhelming to listen to a foreign film. And yes, we have the subtitles and we are all for the English subtitles when watching it at home. By the way, that's an important strategy for global comprehension. But in class, we don't use the subtitles. We use small segments of the film and work on close listening skills to develop listening comprehension skill. And the reason that we do that as a skill is because listening comprehension is essential for speaking. And so a lot of learners, when they get started with us, say, why are we doing this? We don't understand this. Oh my gosh, I'll never understand it. It's because little by little, you will understand it. And we work on these skills, like I said, to improve it. But also it's important to learn to just let the language wash over you. We say that a lot, that just enjoy listening, whether you understand it or not, right? This is, you're getting the accent, the musicality of a language. You're getting so much that you don't always know that you're getting. And lastly, it goes a long way to lower that affective filter that learners speaking about. So when you're stressed in a learning situation, if it's taking an exam or if it's having to produce something orally in front of a class, learning stops, right? When it goes through that filter, learning doesn't take place. But when you're enjoying a foreign film, or whether it's subtitles or not, it's a way of getting those hours to proficiency and fluency and understanding the culture and breaking down those cultural barriers. So yeah, 10 reasons later, maybe I can stop talking about it, but there are many, many, many reasons, and we'll always keep looking out for the newest authentic materials. And those can be, by the way, anything from, do I have another minute or no? One more minute. Okay.
One more
My last minute on it. Good. Those can be authentic materials, aren't just film trailers and films and music. It can be a menu in a foreign language. It can be a train ticket. It can be any little thing from that culture. Magazine articles are so fun. Go to a fashion site and pick out a wardrobe you want in that language. I mean, there's endless things. So it's not just listening to films. So we're always working with that. But thank you for that question.
I do also, think this would be a good time to address our authentic materials and the different platforms that we have to use. So in classes, we may need to have access to Netflix, Hulu, Vudu. These platforms can change just given the nature of online accessibility. So we do our best. The name of the game is adaptability and, making sure that we're working to find solutions that do, fit our community.
Yes. No shortage of changes post-COVID. It changes weekly. So Adaptability is the name of the game, and a growth mindset, right? For our learners, our team, for everybody.
Because we had someone in the chat today say, what about if Netflix shows are not available in Canada? Because we have global learners now from all over the world.
Right.
So yes, it's a great point and something we do, work to address. And it's a day-by-day thing that we're monitoring.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and one thing about that is if to perhaps address part of that question is that we can still watch clips of it in class, I think. And so our teachers can show the clips through Netflix. I'm not quite certain, but we're always learning how we can do that. So we have ways to work around it. It might not be ideal for each learner all of the time, but we try to bring the best to the most of the learners. Okay, are we ready to bring everybody back from breakouts?
Are they, yeah, Abel, what time are they set to end? Right. Awesome.
Yeah, they're going to come in.
Here we go, the digital travel. That's all any travel anybody's doing right now, right? And I think, what do we have coming up, Mackenzie, our giveaway?
Yes, when they get back, we're going to be doing our giveaway. We're going to be doing our trivia, and then we'll be, answering any other questions that may come up.
Awesome. Yep.
I have a question for you, Elizabeth, just, as the founder, what is your favorite piece of authentic material that you use in class?
In class, it had to be through the film Intouchable with Omar Sy. And as a French learner, Mackenzie, I'm holding you responsible for watching that immédiatement. If you haven't yet, pas encore, il faut regarder. You have to watch it. Poor Mackenzie gets the French thrown at her all the time.
I love it.
Right? French, whether you want it or not. So yeah, that is always my favorite, because here's the thing about that specific authentic material is that it's the registers of the French language that are so rich. You get the language that's spoken in la banlieue, in the metro, and then you get the French of the bourgeoisie. It's completely, so French is the entire range of those things, and that's you get through that film. But otherwise, you get textbook French. Here I am. I think everybody should just learn French. I'm going to make it easy on everybody here. Forget Spanish. We've decided not to offer it. It's all French.
It looks like, Abel, I think all the breakout rooms have returned. Clem agrees with you, Elizabeth, in the comments.
Oui.
Awesome. So yes, y'all just experienced our breakout rooms. Welcome back in. These are great tools, for small group practice in the virtual classroom. And, as we've kept saying, it is that face-to-face spontaneous language practice that makes all the difference. And our online students love these breakout rooms specifically for that reason. All right, so back to our courses and our language learning opportunities. We are very excited to be able to offer our model to learners all over the world. We've gone from a local community in Austin to a community with learners from Nashville, South Carolina, Australia in such a short amount of time. Our fall registration is open, and the deadline is just about 1 week from today, Friday, September 4th at midnight. All attendees here who are new to Freestyle's online model will get to register with a one-time only deal, saving $100. It is the biggest discount we offer on a core 12-week session, and this discount is only valid through tomorrow night at midnight. After that, we will still be offering our open house attendees a discount that will last through the weekend, but that will be for $50 off. So be sure to register early if you can and if you'd like to save more. All right, so yes, we will be following up with all RSVPs, even the ones who couldn't make it today, with a code to use at your registration, quiz link so you know which course you should register for, and Sean is sending our contact information in the chat as well if you'd like to reach out with further questions. Before we get to our final activity for today, the free course giveaway, we did decide we wanted to also make it so that one person from each language could win a 25% discount on our 12-week session. So here's how that will work. Sean will send the trivia question with some answer choices in the chat, and the first person to get that right will receive a follow-up email from our team. Okay, we're going to start with our French learners here today. So if you just came back from a breakout room with Clem or with Liz, this trivia question is for you. How many countries have French as an official language? And you'll see the answer options there. We have a range: A, 1 to 6, B, 7 to 15. All right, it looks like, all right. We have, yes, okay, so we have the first winner, Morgan, D, the answer choice D. All right, so yes, we'll be following up with you via email. We'll go right along to the Italian language learners. So if you just had a visit with the lovely Patrizia, this one is for you. Where is Italy ranked on the world's most visited countries? Is it 1st, 5th, 7th, or 10th? All right, there we go. Charisse, you got it. You were there. Italy is the 5th most visited country in the world. Okay, last but not least, we have Spanish. If you just came back from chatting with Michelle, Gloria, Oscar, and Natasha, get ready to answer. Approximately how many people speak Spanish in the world? And this does include native and non-native speakers. Oh, I see it. All right, Brooke. Looks like Brooke was the first to get that one right. We have our final trivia winner. So congratulations to you three. We will be following up with you via email after we end today to send you off with a 25% discount. All right, now it is time for the giveaway winner. While y'all were in your breakout rooms, we randomly selected one attendee here today, and that person will walk away with a free 12-week course for fall. So everyone, let's get ready to use our handy clap reaction tool as we practiced earlier. And the winner is Jennifer Shen. Jennifer, clap for Jennifer. Woo.
Yay!
Hey, congratulations.
Congrats.
All right, so we will be following up with all of our winners individually to register you into your best level fit course. To everyone here, thank you for joining us. We hope you enjoyed learning about our fall session and walk away with a refreshed sense on how fun and successful online learning can be. In the time remaining, we do have some time here to answer questions. If you have a question and feel comfortable asking it out loud, please raise your digital hand. You can do that by clicking on the participants button in your Zoom toolbar, and then underneath the list of names, you'll see a little hand icon. So if you click that to raise your hand, Gab will call on you to unmute yourself and ask us your question. If you don't feel comfortable asking aloud, just send it in the chat and Gab will be sure to ask on your behalf.
Let's see, we had a couple of questions that were in the chat earlier. One from Sylvia asking about average class size.
That's a great question. I'll answer that. When the average class size depends, of course, on the language and level, right? Advanced Italian has fewer people than beginner Spanish. Our max is 22 students, which is way lower than the university is seeing online. Because with that level, we're seeing that we can still manage the class, have everybody have a lot of opportunity for speaking, and keep that sense of community. The average size, though, is closer to probably 8 to 12. But it's not without question. We do max them out at 22, and we can tell you that beginning Spanish will be on a wait list by next. Spanish 1A and 1B will be on a wait list by next Friday, our deadline, which is September 4th. So keep that in mind. Great question. Thank you.
Yeah,
Any other
good
questions?
question.
Yes.
All right, looking for any more hands raised.
Yes.
Not.
Oh, I suspect your name is not Elizabeth, but go ahead and unmute yourself. Elizabeth,
Hi. If we have to miss a class during the session, is there a makeup opportunity or how does that work?
Mackenzie, go ahead.
Yeah, that's a good question. So it's really common, you know, for adult learners to have to miss up to several sessions of classes. And that is why we put our entire curriculum online. So you have access throughout the session to weekly handouts with answer keys, supplemental grammar exercises, audio files, flashcards, quizzes, recap videos, all sorts of materials so that we can make it really easy for you to keep up with your classmates if you have to miss.
Right. Cool. Thanks. Correct. So we don't offer makeups, but it is really common. Our learners, we have one learner who's been with us. I just want to give this example if we have another second. Gail, who's been with us for years on her third language, and she can only come one day a week, and she's making great progress and still feels that value because let's have a question about that. Oh, I know, I have a question. What's the value? What's the cost? Okay. So that is, we were talking about frequently asked questions when you all were in breakouts, and that's a common one and it's important, right? This is, we want everybody to feel that value and know that this model works. But even without the discount that we're offering today, our model comes to the equivalent of less than $15 an hour language learning. So for a life-changing skill, for something that is less than what, 2 gourmet cups of coffee, a
Yoga.
kayak rental on, right, yoga, goat yoga.
A yoga class.
We're very, very proud of that value. So many learners still make great progress with 1 core during the week or just Saturdays, because you can also just do the Saturday cafe package depending on your schedule. That works just great to come in and share that 90 minutes with us in conversation and culturally rich activities. Or some sessions you take the full core that has that, and that's 3 days a week. And so, yeah, and of course with our deal, it comes to something ridiculous like $11 or $12 an hour. Now we don't pay by the hour, but that's the equivalent, but yes. So there's that question. What other questions? Thank you, Alexis, it's amazing. We do have a 2 installment plan. I see that question, very, very good question, right? So you can pay in installments, and it's not too far after the first installment, so we can split it into 2. And yeah, that helps a lot of people. We see that comment, and you just charges your credit card automatically afterwards. Yep. You're welcome. Thank you. Any other questions for people who might be on the fence? If there's something you're thinking about and just not sure, what can we help you with? We also offer trials, right? If you would like to just sit in on a class, I'm not sure, Mackenzie, if we already talked about that, you're welcome to sit in on one. It can be important to see how it feels, even though I'm sure you got a great sense from our teachers. Hopefully you saw our online curriculum. You went through the kinds of activities that we do. We do not have Arabic. I would like to, and I believe that as Freestyle grows and becomes more globally accessible, I'd love to add that as one of the world's important languages, but we don't have Arabic yet. So you could take French instead. How about quelle surprise. Any other languages somebody would be interested that we don't have? Anybody learning Mandarin?
It looks like Jeff Adams has his digital hand raised. So
Oh,
Jeff,
Jeff.
you want to unmute yourself and ask your question?
Just real quick, if you get in a class and then you determine you really were bit off more than you could chew, and the next level down isn't available, can you get a refund and then re-sign up the next session when it is available?
Yes, I'll answer that one. So usually we can work you in because you would be on top priority before anybody on the wait list, right? So internal students already signed up get priority before a wait list does. It's very rare that we can't get you into that other class. In fact, I can't think of an instance in the 8 years. Can you, Mackenzie? No, we'll get.
What if the next level down isn't being offered that session?
Oh, good question. I see what you're saying. Well, what you can do is what some learners do is get our online curriculum to that level and then come to our Saturday cafes to practice speaking so that you can follow everything online and work at your own pace. Now, it's not a fully flipped classroom, but you have access to all of our class curriculum for $49 for lifetime access for any course that you want. So that's one option, right? So these are great questions that, but I'd like to secondarily address the bit off more that you can chew. A lot of learners feel that, and that's okay because you're on a steeper learning curve most of the time in learning a foreign language, and it's actually a good place to be. And we all sometimes feel out of our element. And I think all of our learners would agree that, sometimes you're learning so much new, you're not doing too well. And then you're like, hey, I'm getting it. And then so it's a really common feeling, but it doesn't always mean that you should go down a level. But we certainly work with you individually. You discuss it with your teacher. We want you, of course, to feel comfortable. Nobody's going to force you in a level.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
We had a great question in the Spanish breakout about what if I test, if I do the placement quiz and sort of get one level one time and then I get the level up the next time, right? Really common. So yeah, I love the fact that we have trials. And so even if you want to, it's kind of up to you. And I think the difference is what's your confidence speaking, right? If you move a level up, there's obviously going to be a little more talking in the target language. So if you're up for the challenge, go for the higher level. We can always move you down, or vice versa. If you want to play it safe, we can always move you up if it's too easy, right?
Great. Thank you, Natasha. That's true. One last question. Oh gosh, I know many of you might have to go. See, we can't stop ourselves. We will do for an hour more if you would let us. A frequently asked question when we were talking about when you were all in the breakouts is this myth that adults aren't good at language learning. And I'd like to take a minute to address that. That is a complete myth. We have adults coming in to learn a second language for their first time at 50, 60, and 70 years old all the time. And the reason that is, and science shows it's possible, and more science is coming out about that. For example, working on pronunciation opens up these cognitive pathways in a way that was previously unknown that allows you to learn the language more effectively. So pronunciation, in fact, can no longer be an accessory to language learning. It actually helps adult learners break down that oral block that we have. So it's true, we might not have the same accent as learners up until I think 13 is the age. They just absorb that accent. Okay, that's annoying that that's so perfect for them, right? Yeah, I have an American accent when I speak French, but so what? I speak French, right? And so it's okay. I work on it. I try to get it better, but the truth is it's not great. On s'en fiche. It's the way it is. And so that's yes, human beings are meant to learn language and to connect through language. And it's what we do. And I promise you, if I can do this, anybody can do it. And I am also a testament to learning a third language that was much easier when I lived in Holland and learned Dutch. And Michelle, raise your hand. She's a resident polyglot. I only speak 3 languages. She speaks like 12. I don't know, I forget. But is that, you know, you just start lowering that barrier and stressing about it. You're like, oh, how do you make this plural? Where does this go? Give me the vocabulary. And this is so cool to just speak. And you don't worry too much about it being grammatically correct. The goal is not to be grammatically perfect. And who cares? If the goal is for communication, and our learners do great. But adults do awesome. And we're made to learn. And for any system that sets you up to make you think that you're not a good language learner, I challenge that. So join us to find out. We will help you learn. Okay. Right. Any other questions? No, I don't want to go. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Thank you for our team Freestyle, digital high fives. All right, well, we hope to see you all very soon this fall. And take care of yourselves out there in this crazy, crazy COVID world. All right. Thanks, y'all. Okay.
Adios.
Bye. Ciao.
Adios. Hasta luego.
Bye.
Adios.
Salut tout le monde.
Salut tout le monde. Au revoir. Bye. Great job, team. I don't want to go. I'm still here.
Hey,
Bye, Laura.
We're still live. We're still